Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. It's me again, Chelsea, and today I am doing something a little bit different that I have not done on my channel before, but I do plan to do a little bit more of in coming months. I've got a plan to do this in August. You can probably guess what I will be doing for it, but this, as you can tell from the title and the thumbnail, is me trying a chapter of all of the finalists for the self-published science fiction competition. Yeah, that's right. I always get it muddled because there is also self-published fantasy version, but yeah, no, I'm part of the sci-fi edition, which is pretty cool, and we have got our finalists. They have all been announced, so our finalists, and I'll put covers here, are A Star Named Vega, Iron Truth, Steel Guardian, Monster of the Dark, Captain Wu and the Starship Nameless, In the Orbit of Sirens, and Duckett and Dyer Dicks for Hire. That one sounds like a lot of fun. So I have already read and reviewed Iron Truth and Steel Guardian. I don't think the review has gone up yet. If it has gone up by the time this goes live, I'll put a link down below. But if it hasn't, there's no link, but I'm sure I'll find one and I'll retweet it, so keep an eye on my Twitter and I will probably retweet it. As you may notice, for today's video we are a little bit more chilled. We're not filming in front of the bookshelves, but I thought here would be the perfect place. I have no proper reading chair yet. It is on my list of things to buy when we move, but we have not moved yet. So I'm sat on my bed. I've got a massive pillow behind me for comfort, and I am ready to get started. So these are the 7 finalists that everyone has to read now. Like I said, I've already read 2, so we are going to be trying a chapter from 5 different books. So I'm very excited. I don't really know an awful lot about these at all. The only one that I've actually heard of before is In the Orbit of Sirens by T.A. Bruno. It's on my list of books to read. It was one I was actually going to read in August if it didn't make it to the finals of this competition, in which I need to read it for reviews. So I'm very glad to be reading that now. So we're going to be reading one chapter of each, and I'm going to start with Captain Wu and the Starship Nameless. Let's get reading. Okay, so the first chapter of Captain Wu was a little bit longer than I thought. It takes you to 7% according to my Kindle. And it was pretty good. We are thrown straight into action. I'm not gonna go through the blurbs of all of these books. I will have them linked down below, so if you want to do that, you can do that. It will all be Goodreads links. So if you want to read the actual descriptions, then that's good. I want to go into these books knowing nothing, because sometimes I find descriptions give stuff away, and I'm not a big, unless I'm unboxing books, I personally don't tend to necessarily read a blurb. I will read the first chapter in Waterstones or wherever, and that's how I get my information. Sometimes on pre-orders I'll read the blurb, but generally, to get a gist, I will just read the first chapter. So within the first chapter we are introduced to Captain Wu, and we are introduced to the 2 other members of her crew, and obviously it's sci-fi, so they have a spaceship. Like I said, we're thrown straight into action. This book literally opens up with a firefight between Captain Wu and some other characters that are just kind of glossed over. I don't know if we'll get any more context, but by the sounds of it, it was a simple drop, collect and drop job that was given to Wu, and when she arrived at the final drop location, the people didn't want to pay her. They just started firing, and she is now left with the black box that she was meant to deliver. Now I'm intrigued to find out what is in that black box and why people are trying to kill other people for it. This is always a good story starter for me, and definitely one that grabs my attention. So this is definitely something that sounds right up my street. It doesn't seem that long, as my Kindle says I've only got 4 hours left of it, so that's pretty cool. That is a positive start. So that's the first book done. Let's give, what should we read next? Let's give Monster of the Dark by Katie Belt a go and see how we feel about this one. Okay, so let's start reading Monster of the Dark by Katie Belt. So I have just finished the first chapter of Monster of the Dark, and completely different vibe. So Captain Wu was sassy, sarcastic, got a bit of humour in there, got a bit of swearing in there. This does not have that. So the first chapter is straight away, you can tell something is kind of off. Our three characters in the first chapter are a Mr. Grey, a Mrs. Grey, and a Carmen. And Carmen is their child, and they're talking about someone coming to get her, and then soldiers turn up at their front door and take this young girl away. And I can already tell it's going to be more of a serious vibe, which is fine. I do really enjoy, though, at the minute, like, some comic relief in my books, I think. Not too sure. I read a lot of serious books, I think, so I'm getting on with like the funnier, sassier, sarcastic books at the minute, like Project Hail Mary, which I'm currently reading, and I talk about a lot in my vlog, which will have already gone up. So if you saw that on Sunday, or if you didn't see the one I uploaded on Sunday, I do talk about that a little bit, so I'll link that up here for you. But yeah, I've just finished the first chapter. This is definitely going to be a serious one. So it is shown within the first chapter that Carmen has got telekinesis and she is some sort of clairvoyant, and I'm intrigued now. So from the first chapter alone, I'm intrigued why they are taking away clairvoyance. Bit bone seasoning in that regard. And the end of the first chapter, literally the line is something along the line about some rebirth is needed. So there's going to be some like reprogramming kind of thing happening. Very intrigued. Okay, so where are we going to go next from here then? We are going to go to A Star Named Vega. Let's give that a try. The cover looks kind of similar to the first cover of, oh, what's the book called? A Deal with the Elf King, if you know what I'm on about. But I'll put the A Star Named Vega cover up here again for you to see. But let's give the first chapter a go, and let's see what I think about this one. So, chapter 1 of A Star Named Vega done. So, first chapter. Two of our main characters in this are quite young for a book that I would personally choose to read. They're about like 13, 14. But looking at the start of chapter 2, there is a different name starting that title, so I think it's going to be a multiple POV thing, which will balance out if that is the case. So our first chapter of A Star Named Vega, we have been introduced to a world where creativity doesn't seem to be allowed. I don't really know the ins and outs of it yet. Obviously, I only read the first chapter. But there is talk of an app called Vox, which is a points-based system where you get points for doing something artistic like music or painting. And you get more points if it's done in a riskier location. So to me that kind of sounds like Nerve, which I haven't read or watched, but I get the gist of it, which was like a truth or dare kind of app where you get dares, and if you do the dare then you move on, that kind of thing. So our main female character Asta wants to like be top of this leaderboard, and she runs into Isaac, who seems to be like a child genius by the sounds of it, and they're going to this new planet together, and there's already a bit of friction between the two of them. Not too sure how that's going to play out. Very interested to see how that goes. Yeah, so I've got two left. We're going to try In the Orbit of Sirens by T.A. Bruno first. I am so excited for this book. It was one I wanted to read, like I said earlier, in Indie August and buy the book and read it. But now I get to read it for this competition, so I'm going to read it 2 months early. It's going to be a good time. Let's see what chapter 1 has in store for me. Okay, so the first chapter of this, In the Orbit of Sirens. Again, it's going to be another serious one, I can tell. There's no sassy characters yet, but I feel like the next chapter is going to give us a lot more context. So this chapter features a group of scientists who are out in the wilderness of an alien planet, and they stumble across a native who is described as kind of a bird man, and they make first contact and they have like a bit of a chat and introduce themselves. And we are told that the point of them going out and exploring this wilderness is to try and find a cure for something called lung lock, which is when it seems as though the native air gets into your lungs and your lungs just stop working. And they are the first colony to arrive, or the colonists to arrive on this planet. There's 250 of them, and it's taken them 300 years to get there, and in 5 years' time they've got another like 10,000 colonists coming, so they have 5 years to figure out the cure for lung lock, and that is essentially what the first chapter tells us. The next chapter is titled 300 Years Ago, so that must be before they left. So there's a lot to learn, there's a lot more world building. I feel as though this was a shorter chapter compared to the other ones that I've read. I feel like I've got a lot less world building from this one than I have from the other books that I've just read. And I feel as though there's a lot less personality being shown in our main characters than what we've already read. So far, I think Captain Wu is the strongest character that like sticks in my head of reading all these chapters, but let's see what my final book has to offer in its first chapter, and that is Duckett and Dyer, Dicks for Hire. So not sure, let's see what this one has in store for me. It's got a prologue, so we might be reading 2 chapters, but we'll see how long the prologue is. I'll be back in a minute. Okay, so I finished the final first chapter that I'm going to be trying today. Well, I read the prologue and the first chapter because the prologue was like 2-3 pages long and gave me no real inclination as to what the book was about. So, the prologue seems to take place right at the end of the book, and then we flash back to where it all started, and we meet Michael Duckett, who is this, well, he comes across as quite like hardworking, nerdy, just doing what he can to scrape by kind of a bloke who does his washing, or his laundry, as is said, which I think is quite American, his laundry at a laundromat on a Wednesday, and he then tells us about how there's this beautiful girl there, and this first chapter basically this beautiful girl asks him on a date and he says yes, and as he comes out of the laundromat he is cornered by this woman saying that she wants to hire him to be a private detective, and he's got no idea what's going on, and he ends the chapter by saying like he knows who this is, it's another scheme brought about by his roommate Stephanie Dyer, and I think I'm getting the idea that he's going home now to confront her about why the heck there is a post going around on the internet saying that he is a private detective when he's not. So I'm interested to see where this one goes. I'm not massively like pulled in. So of these 5, the one that I really want to get to straight away is Captain Wu. 100%. The characters are sassy and fun. The world seems like a good one. There's definitely some form of not heist but kind of like mission. They've got a package that they're not too sure what it is. It's gonna come back to bite them on the ass, like that sort of thing. Very interested in that. Then from there, I am interested in the other ones. I am, but that is the one that has completely drawn me in. These ones have obviously made it to the finals for a reason. People have obviously had to have loved these books. I'm also quite interested in A Star Named Vega, although the characters seem a bit young for me at the minute. Maybe we'll do a time jump, not too sure. Maybe the other POVs that we're looking at are older. I'm sure that'll equal out somewhere. In the Orbit of Sirens, very interested. However, I feel like it's going to be more of a slow burn in a world building sense, because I believe there are 3 books and the 3rd book comes out later this year. The first book has been obviously submitted because the rules of this competition is it has to be the first book in a series if it's not a standalone, and it has to be self-pubbed. So this book has been out, it must have been out for a few years. Either way, I'm sure it's going to be great, and if I enjoy it then I'll purchase all of them and I will continue with the series. Monster in the Dark, I am interested in all of them, but Monster in the Dark, I don't know, it feels like it's going to be very serious. I'm not sure if I'm in a very serious mood right now, but yeah, I'm interested to see the reprogramming phase. I hope it's not too traumatic for the character and for myself, but I do feel like it is going to be traumatic in a sense, especially as you're like wiping out everything that the character believed up until this point, and they're only little, they're probably around 6 or something, so they're very young. Not sure how we're going to go with that. And then finally Ducat and Dyer, seems like it's going to be a bit of a Mickey take, really. See what kind of things they get into. The characters, I feel as though Stephanie Dyer is going to be the complete opposite of Michael Ducat. She's going to be more outgoing, she's going to be sassy, she's going to be fun, whereas Michael is very, you know, very much an introvert, and he seems like he has like his routine, he sticks to his routine, that sort of thing. Interested to see where all of these go. So there you go, there's my try a chapter. I was going to include like bits of me reading, but then I realised that me reading is quite boring with a Kindle, because even if you speed it up, there is no change. There's no page flipping on a Kindle, it's literally just you sitting there like this. It's not interesting to watch. So I'm not quite sure at the minute of how long this video actually is going to be. But there you go, there's me trying the first chapter of the final 5 books that I need to read for SPSFC. And I will have, like I said, the books, including the 2 that I haven't spoken about but I've already read, linked down below for Goodreads, so you can actually see what they're about if you want to have more of an idea. If you know, my random comments about the first chapter haven't been enticing enough to see what these books are, and I'm actually really looking forward to seeing how these books like battle it out and actually get and where they all are ranked in these next few months. So very excited. I've hyped myself up a little bit more to actually get going and read these books sooner than I did the others. And yeah, if you enjoyed this, please give it a like, really supports me on my channel. Leave me a comment down below of whether you'd be interested in any of these books. Are you a sci-fi reader? I am predominantly a fantasy reader, which is why when I saw an opening for this competition going around and that I could apply, I was like, yes, I want to do that so I can read more sci-fi, and not only just read more sci-fi but read more self-pubbed indie sci-fi, which is something that I love. I read a lot of self-pubbed indie fantasy, so why not spread it into the sci-fi genre as well. So yeah, really excited for that. And if you want to see more of me, see how I get on with these books, I'm hoping to actually film like a full review video as like at the end, once all the scores have been counted, which I think is like June, July. I'm not too sure when the cutoff is actually for this, but I'm hoping to film for the final ones that I have read, so that will be good fun. And if you want to see that, make sure you are subscribed down below and ring that notification bell to get notified every single time I upload new videos. I currently upload on a Wednesday and on a Sunday, so be sure to stick around for more bookish content from me. But otherwise, that's everything for today's video. It's been a nice chill one, different background, just a bit of a plain background with a bit of a comfy vibe going on, because it was literally just me sitting here reading. And hopefully not the next time I do this video, because I think that's going to be in August, but hopefully if I do this video later in the year, I'll actually have a book room to film in with a chair, so I can actually read in front of my books and have more of like, you know, the bookish aesthetic kind of thing going on. Wouldn't that be lovely? Yes, it would. So I'm going to shut up, I'm going to leave this here, and I will see you soon in my next video. Bye.